Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Father-Son Packers podcast, your source for Packers news, notes, and analysis. My name is Tommy. I'm one of your hosts, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, my dad, Matt. Dad, I think I know the answer, but how are you doing?
Well, the best thing I can say about the game is it's in the rearview mirror and getting further by the minute. So the farther we get away from that,
I need it further. I need it much further away.
Yeah, like a few games away.
Yeah, a few, many, a year. That was really bad. That was an absolute total collapse. We are here today to break down the Packers' 13-10 loss to the Cleveland Browns. Really just a failure on a lot of different levels. We're going to get to all of it. It's not going to be fun to talk about, but it might be cathartic. So at least there's that.
Well, I mean, if I can laugh at it, you know.
Yeah, I laugh so we don't cry.
It was so bad. It was comedy.
I mean, we're gonna talk all about it. We're gonna break down everything that went wrong, everything the Packers had to do to lose this game. And I want to start off with, we deserve to lose this game. We 100% deserve to lose that game. When that kick was going up from the Browns, I was like, yeah, I mean, if he makes it, we deserve to lose. Like, we did everything in our power to lose this game, but we're going to talk all about it. If you like what you hear here today, subscribe, whether that's Apple, YouTube, Spotify. Tell a friend, tell a stranger, leave a comment, leave a review. We would appreciate it. Follow us on Blue Sky at Father-Son Packer for updates on when we're putting new episodes out, updates on Packers injury reports, roster moves, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, so that's the usual spiel. But Dad, let's get into it.
Yeah, I just want to say about that last kick. You said that I just knew it was going to go in, even though he was terrible in week one. He was missing kicks all over the place. Like, of course he's going to nail this 55-yarder. Yeah,
and there was a story going around about how he's been dealing with a lot of personal life stuff, the kicker for the Browns, and so I'd feel happy for him that he made.
At least he saved his job.
Yeah, that too. But so I think if you go out and look up the story around like that kick for him, I think it meant a lot to him, and so it sucks that the Packers lost, but at least he made it and he's able to feel a little bit better. But anyway, Dad, total colossal failure from the Packers. Let's focus on Green Bay. And let's start with we're always going to start with the injury report, which I think is in its own way another example of the colossal failures for the Packers in this game.
Another turd in this turd of a game.
Yeah. So going into this game, Tucker Kraft was questionable. He did end up playing. But then Zach Tom was questionable. And remember, Zach Tom on Wednesday was asked, how are you feeling for Sunday? And he said, I'll tell you tomorrow. And he was limited all week. He didn't practice last week, or he didn't play last week, rather. He was limited all week in practice. He was questionable going into the game. And he went into the game and played a snap. One. And then was writhing in pain on the ground. Unable to play the rest of the game. And, I mean, LaFleur said today that it wasn't a further re-aggravation, that it was, the practice, hits weren't, the same as an actual game day hit. And to that, I have to say, of course they weren't. Like, of course not. Like, why would you think that they were? Like, that the level of contact in the game was much more than the level of contact in practice. And I'm like, yeah, obviously. And so so he obviously didn't finish the game. Aaron Banks, who was also, on the injured last week, didn't finish the game either. Although I think he ended up with a different injury, so that's a bit different.
Yeah,
he ended up with a groin injury.
Ankle, and he ended up with a groin.
Yeah.
Is that related?
Unclear. But that one I'm going to kind of give a pass. But the Tom thing, I think, is just indicative of just a failure to prepare that was systemic for this entire game. Just a failure to prepare. Because he was clearly not ready to go at all.
I think very few people expected him to play at all. I thought they would give him he needed the week off because he wasn't even like entertaining the thought of playing when he first started practicing this week. It's like, no, I'm so far away, I'm not even going to give you an answer right now.
He was like, ask me tomorrow. That pretty much means I don't feel ready right now. And like, kudos to him for trying to give it a go. But he made it one play. Like, he was clearly not ready to play in that game. And I think we're going to talk about all of the ways that the Packers looked unprepared in this game, made crucial errors time and time again, countless penalties, countless missed assignments, countless mistakes, just inventing ways to lose this football game. We'll talk all about it. But I think that the way that the Tom injury was handled is kind of indicative of the lack of preparedness for this game. Moving down the list, Javon Bullard left with a concussion. He's in concussion protocol, or left with a head injury. He's in concussion protocol, according to LaFleur. And Devontae Wyatt injured his knee in the fourth quarter. I missed that one, but they said he's day-to-day. But yeah, so that's the rest of the injury report. Dad, anything else you wanted to touch on there?
That was all. I didn't actually catch it during the game. I think the reports that I saw came through John Kuhn that he got hurt in the that Wyatt got hurt in the fourth quarter. But the fact that and so when I heard that and nothing else it was like, well, what is it? Day to day makes me feel a little bit better about that.
Yeah, and we'll see what the injury reports entail as this week goes on, as the Packers prep for Dallas. But let's move on to the rest of our, talking about this game. Let's start with the gut check. Vomiting all over my computer watching this game, like just screaming at the TV. Endlessly. What was your gut check for this game?
It was a total choke job. I mean, they managed to let around 5 different things all happen in order to lose the game, and they had to have all 5 of them go wrong to lose this game. And they
hit a 5-leg parlay. They hit a 5-leg parlay on things they needed to do wrong to lose this game, and they did it. They found a way.
I was to say, it's not the trifecta, it's not the quadfecta, it's a quinfecta.
Yep, they hit a 5-leg parlay. I mean, good for us, I guess. Yeah, it was terrible. I mean, just awful. And we're going to talk all about it. Let's start with the big moments of the game, though. Most of them are in the second half because the first half was a bit nondescript. But Dad, you want to start us off? We're going to just go chronologically through these moments. Yeah, kick it off for us.
So I had some. So I'll start with a positive, I guess, because the first thing that come up on is the touchdown pass to Fitzpatrick for his first career touchdown. The rollout by Love, combined with both the threat of him running and the threat of passing over the defender, bought him lots of time. Lots of time for Fitzpatrick to work his way till he's wide open. And then when the pass gets to him, you can see he like cradles the thing like he caught an infant and doesn't want to let it hit the ground.
Catch. First career touchdown catch.
Falls down to just make sure it's completely secure and nothing's going to happen to it. It also made me think, like, why aren't we rolling out or bootleg more? Because it was like,
I mean, I don't love rolling out at the goal line because it cuts the field in half.
I don't mean necessarily the goal line. I mean everywhere.
That's fair. And I do think we did more of that this week because the O-line was so bad, which we'll talk about. But so that's going to be the only positive moment, though, I imagine, in this breakdown. The next moment I had was the end of the third quarter. And again, just kind of indicative of the lack of preparedness, the lack of attention to detail, the lack of focus. Like, so it's 3rd and 1 at your own 44, which in my opinion, like, you could go for it there. Like, that's a 4th and 1 you could go for if you don't get it on 3rd down. Instead, in a game where you have a 2-score lead, it's a 10-point game, and it's the end of the third quarter, instead of taking it to the fourth quarter, which you should be doing in a game you have a 2-score lead in a low-possession game, you snap it at 1 second. No one seems to know that that's going to happen. Love is pretty instantly pressured, rolls out, and then he makes the mistake of not just throwing the ball away and eats an 11-yard sack. And, I mean, that's like just compounding errors on that play. Lack of preparedness, lack of attention to detail, lack of risk mitigation, which we'll talk about later. Just another bad play and a slew of bad plays that lost them this game.
Yeah, even the announcer was saying, like, what is he doing taking that sack there? Just throw it away. Because then, as you said, they could go for it on 4th and 1. Not after you get an 11-yard loss on a sack.
Nope.
And I guess the logic is, we're going to catch them by surprise because they're not expecting it. Well, I guess you caught everybody by surprise.
I was going to say, it didn't look like the O-line knew that was going to happen.
So that just fell apart really fast. Very quick pressure. And unblocked players like, what's his name?
Schlesinger, I think.
Schlesinger.
And actually, Schlesinger came in and got Love at the end for the sack. So I don't know if he was the initial pressure. But
No, but he came in late unblocked. But he did work a way around. I don't know who got the first pressure.
Yeah. But anyway, what was your next moment?
So I actually, to your surprise, it's another positive, sort of. It's half positive. Is the 10:59 left in the fourth quarter, 3rd and 8 from their own 4-yard line. And they get a 34-yard completion from Love to Golden.
It was a great play.
Get out. It's a great play. Get out of the shot of the end zone. Get lots of breathing room. Maybe make something happen, which they didn't at the end. But then as a real lost opportunity for more yards. As Golden, once he caught the ball, just kind of like stumbled and lost his balance, and then just didn't really try to fight to stay in bounds.
A clear runway to the end zone with a guy with 4.2 speed, and like he stumbles and falls out of bounds, and like it's still a good play, but it's just leaving meat on the bone. It kind of reminded me of the play against the Niners with Aaron Jones in the playoffs in the game we lost on the block.
Yeah, he's
punt,
like
where it's like
all
you
over
got
the place.
You got daylight, just sprint forward, and like you just don't score, and then you don't capitalize on those opportunities, and you end up losing the game.
Right, because is that the one where the field goal got blocked in the end when after that you didn't get all the way to the end zone, the field goal got blocked and they got nothing?
Oh, in that play?
Yeah, the Niner play with Jones.
The Niner one, that was I can't remember what happened. That was the game we lost on the block punt. That was what happened.
I know,
there.
but I think
I can't remember if we
had a blocked field goal kick earlier in that game, and I think it was after that play where he didn't get the touchdown.
You might be right.
And then we got 0.
Yeah, you might be right. But anyway, it's just not capitalizing on, those like premium plays, those premium looks, as Matt LaFleur says. Like you have to really and like 34 yards is a great play, but like there was more there. My next moment is actually you have the next one. This was the worst play of the game. This was what decided the game. And I will say, and we'll talk about this later, I thought Love played a good game overall, except for this play. But that's what it comes down to sometimes. And sorry, go ahead.
This play was egregious all over
Bad.
the map. This is Love's interception in the fourth quarter. 3:18 left. You're up by a touchdown with only 3:18 left.
And the other team cannot move the ball.
To move the ball all game. And he throws it right to the defender. It was way, way off target from any Packer receiver. I mean, I suppose it would have been an easier pick if the ball had been on target, because Delpit has reached down and pick it off the turf. I don't know if maybe did he see it at the last minute? Oh crap! Well, he tries to hold on to it and goes almost into the dirt.
So what happened there? Matt LaFleur after the game said it was his fault and that the call wasn't a good call. I don't care. You can't put that ball in danger there in that kind of game. You have to have you have to feel the flow of the game and know that you can't do that. But essentially, that play is drawn up for man coverage. Delpit is lined up over Kraft. Delpit starts to carry Kraft up to the corner, then drops off of him last second and is right in the throwing window. But if you're Loved, that's a classic quarterback sin of a predetermined read, where you have decided that you are throwing that ball before, you have predetermined you're throwing that to Wicks there. And you can't just, you need to have vision. You need to see that guy there. You can't make that mistake there. And like I said, I don't think, I see these talk shows that are I just don't trust Jordan Love in these spots. I don't buy into that. But it was a crucial mistake that lost them the game. And that is 100% true. Essentially lost them the game, because then it gets returned down to the 3. And
they get to the 4-yard line, and then at the 1, and then on the
we gave up 10 points in 30 seconds.
Yeah, 35 seconds. They got 10 points after not being able to do anything all game. And so what I didn't see, because I think Delpit said about read his eyes, did he stare down his receiver? So he was I haven't gone back to look see. He's just looking at him the whole way, so it gave it away. I'm not sure. But it was, you can't make the throw. You probably shouldn't have ever made that call to throw it on 3rd and 2, regardless of how, with 3:18 left and then struggling to move the ball, and you're up by a full touchdown. That should have been a running play from the get-go.
I don't mind the idea to pass there, but if you're Love, you need to know the number one thing you cannot do is throw a pick there. That's the only thing that can't happen.
Yeah, and you both did it, put it in harm's way, and you called it so that it could happen.
Yeah. Anyway, the next moment that I had is more of a handful of plays, and again, just indicative of the sloppiness from Green Bay in this game. I think there's no other way to describe it other than just pure lack of attention, we had 14 penalties in this game, which we'll talk about in a bit. 14 penalties. That's really, really bad. But anyway, here are the last handful of plays. Overall, they didn't end up mattering that much, but I think they are just they just felt like the flavor of the game, So you get down into scoring position, and that's the thing. Love throws that pick and then bounces back the next drive and drives them down into field goal range, into very makeable field goal range, like chip shot field goal range in the NFL. Chip shot field goal range.
Set up by a good kick return.
Yeah, for once. But so then essentially you're at the point where it's like, okay, we're going to run the ball and we're going to waste time off the clock, make them use their last time out, right? That's what's going on here. And that's what everyone knows is going on here, because you're at about a 40-ish yard field goal, 40-something, chip shot NFL field goal. Josh Jacobs fumbles the ball on a run where all you're trying to do is kill clock. How do you not have both hands on the football in that situation? And I get he recovers it, so he makes up for it. But how is that even happening? That should never happen. You know you are running the ball to kill clock. 2 hands on the ball and fall down for a yard. That's all you have to do. The next player, 2 plays later, Rasheed Walker has a false start. Sir, everyone knows you're running the ball to run clock. The fans in the stands know you're running the ball to run clock. Why do you need an extra jump on a play you are trying to get a yard and kill clock? Because not only does that move you back 5 yards and makes it a harder kick, it also stops the clock. You don't waste as much time as you could have there. And it came down to the last second for the Browns. They ended up spiking the ball with 2 seconds left before their field goal. That could have made the difference if you just don't false start there, even if you miss the kick anyways. But you have a false start there, which should never happen. And then, sorry.
Honestly, they should just kneel the ball down 3 times.
I mean, they would have lost less yards. Actually, right? It would have been about the same. It would have been about the same, I think. But
you lose 1 or 2, but they should just kneel down.
They shouldn't have. The thing is, they shouldn't have, but it would have been it would have worked out better.
It would have been better.
But maybe it doesn't even matter, because my next moment is an absolute bungle from the entire special teams unit where, do you know how rare it is that a kick gets blocked off the edge? That doesn't happen that much in the NFL. It'll happen where a guy gets blown up in the middle or a dude jumps over the line. But a guy flying off the edge, practically untouched. And that's to say nothing about the snap was bad, by the way, from Matt Orsic. The snap was not good. And then the kick. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, and then Morgan gets just blown up in the middle by what's his name, who got the hand on it in the middle and knocked it, spiked it backwards 15 yards.
But pretty much you get it totally blown up from the entire left side. I mean, we'll talk about Morgan. But the kick is blocked on a chip shot field goal. So once again, special teams letting you down. I mean, I don't know what more there is to say about Rich Bisaccia's unit. We'll talk about it more when we get to our full big picture stuff. But that was, I mean, if it wasn't the pick, that was the next biggest moment of the game. And then your next moment, they drive down, and it's pretty sloppy from the defense too there.
Yeah. So in part because that kick was blocked so thoroughly that they start with the ball past the 40. They're getting close to midfield already. And then when they need to get 15 yards, 20 yards to get into field goal range, first is a neutral zone infraction by Parsons. He's just not lined up right. He's just, he gets a little jumpy. Give him 5 free yards to start it off. So now you're only 10 or so more yards. And then when they do okay on the pass to Judy is decent coverage. The pass to Fannin is tackle quickly, though they're not getting any pressure at this point anymore. I think they're, kind of gassed. So Flacco has got time to do what he wants by this point of the game. And then Njoku is just wide open in the middle to set up the kick. It's
really poor coverage there.
But then when they tackle him, every team
lay on top of him.
They lay on
top of him.
And they just jump up, and he's gets up immediately, instantly. Nobody's trying to, they just make it a little bit harder for him to get up. And then they get the spike with 2 seconds left. And then offsides is.
Well, okay, and this kind of dovetails into. I just want to talk about the special teams. So let's go over to our big picture. Once you go into
our big picture things, you could jump into that first
because that kind of ties into this. But let's talk about the special teams, which is not my number one issue in this game. The number one issue in this game was the offensive line, which I'm sure we'll talk about a lot. But what you were just talking about dovetails into special teams. And again, I'm throwing up everywhere. I'm throwing up all over the place. not only do you get the game-winning chip shot kick like blocked, which also, like I said, bad snap, another bad snap from Orzik, in my opinion. You also have an illegal formation on a punt, which I don't know how that happens. Are we not, like, we don't know how to line up on a punt? And then 2 holding penalties on a kickoff. And the crown jewel, like you were saying, on that 55-yard field goal, we were offsides. And so even if he missed, he would have gotten to kick it again from 5 yards closer.
After a practice.
After a practice kick. How is that happening? These are plays that are costing you games. They are costing you games that are important. And it might, and maybe this one ends up not being that important. It is an AFC game, out of conference game. You're going to lose some games, but if it keeps up like this, it's going to cost you a more important game. And it's Rich Bisaccia's unit every single time. And by his own admission in the offseason, he let the team down last year. He said that. Those were his own words. He let the team down last year. And they extended him this offseason. They gave him an extension. The unit is terrible. They make key mistakes all the time. They commit penalties all the time. They make mental errors all the time. They lack focus. They lack discipline. They lack the fundamentals. It is awful from the special teams every single week. It's terrible.
Yeah, it was not good. I can't say anything good about it. The best thing I'll say about this entire game, as you alluded to there, is at least it was a AFC team. So if you're gonna lose a game, a road game to an AFC team, it's like you didn't waste a home game. It's not hurting you in the tiebreakers in the conference standings, but man, it was like, but to just throw away a win still sucks.
Yeah, I want to go to my next thing because I normally we alternate, but I think that this is the number one talking point coming out of this game, and I think it's the number one like long-term concern for this team after one game or after 3 games, and that's the play of the offensive line. I joke that they put the offensive line in this game. It was really, really bad. Not only did they have 4 false starts on the offensive line alone, so I'm taking out the one by Malik Heath. Like I'm taking out the ones by the receivers and tight ends. 4 false starts on the offensive line in this game, and an ineligible man downfield. We also allowed 5 sacks, and all 5 of the lowest graded players on offense were offensive linemen. Walker, Morgan, Elton, Ryan, and Belton each allowed 3 pressures in this game. Each one. Every single one was equally bad.
I think this is the most red I've seen for a Packers offensive line unit in terms of PFF grades. I think their pass block grades, it's like 20s. Maybe somebody had gotten the 30s there, but I'm not sure. Except for Kennard, who played like 4 snaps.
4 snaps. And Zach Tom, who played 1 snap, like we mentioned. Again, maybe Jordan Morgan would have been more prepared to play right tackle if Zach Tom, if they had said going into the game, hey, you're going to start at right tackle. But we'll talk about that in a second. I want to keep going through these numbers in this game. So not only was the pass protection terrible, the run game was also awful again. 22 running back carries for 55 yards. That's 2.5 yards per carry. And yes, the Browns' run defense is very good, and that's actually a little bit higher.
I gotta say, this is better than they're giving up. They were giving up 2.1 coming in.
That is true.
So we're like, did better than their usual opponent.
But it would be one thing if this was just a 1-game thing. Through 3 games, the Packers are allowing a 40% pressure rate. That is the 7th highest in the league. We are also getting just 0.65 yards before contact per attempt. That is also the 7th worst in the league. So 7th worst in pressure rate and 7th worst in opening lanes up for your running back and not letting them get hit behind the line of scrimmage. We also have graded out by PFF as the 5th worst pass blocking unit in the league and the 4th worst run blocking unit in the league. Right now, it's a bottom 10 unit in the league, and that is just unacceptable for how much pick investment, capital investment, contracts given out, how much investment is in this offensive line right now. That's just not, this should not be happening.
Yeah, I think the 2 biggest things is Tom basically missing 2 games, their best offensive lineman. That's probably number 1. And number 2 is we have not gotten as much out of Banks as that contract demands.
And I'm not talking about the injuries with him because he can't control that. the play has been poor. And the play was poor for the Niners for the most part the past few years. Right now, that's looking like a bad decision from the front office. And I just want to talk about the talking points with the offensive line, because right now it's not one thing. Obviously, they miss Zach Tom. Elton has to play better at center. The gap between how he's playing and how Josh Myers was playing last year is not that big. And it needs to be a whole hell of a lot bigger. Like, he's playing better, but the gap is not that big. Also, guys, Jordan Morgan, he's not a guard. He's not a guard. And I know that he is kind of getting just kind of destroyed online right now because he played really bad. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. He played terribly. But you're not doing him any favors. If you're going to play him at right tackle, which he has never played, if he's going to be the number one option there, he's never played right tackle in a game. He's been a left tackle, left guard, sometimes right guard. That should have been something that he should have known he was going to be starting at right tackle going into that game. And Zach Tom should never have, they should probably have never even entertained that. That's one. So I don't think Jordan Morgan is a guard. Every time he's been at guard, he's been average at best, and for the most part, bad. He looked good at tackle in the preseason, so I want to see him do that. That's bad. And I don't know why you're immediately going to him at right tackle when that's not the position that he's played. And Anthony Belton has played there, and Darian Kennard has played there, and they've played okay. And they have experience there, and they look good there last week, but you're going to a guy who's never played that spot. I get that he's your sixth offensive lineman in the depth chart, but let's think about where these players are playing and if they've played there before. Like, let's have a plan. This is like reminiscent of playing Glover at left guard in the playoffs against the Eagles, where he's never played as a rookie, opposite from Jalen Carter, and it makes no sense in the last two drives, and then you put Telford in, and it's marginally better, still bad, but it was clearly just a bad decision. Again, in-game decision-making along the offensive line has been a problem for years. There are other ones to talk about, too. And then also, I mean, Banks hasn't been playing good enough for how much you're paying him. I get that he's injured, so there's some forgiveness there. Also, like, Walker going out because his helmet breaks, and then you take like 4 plays to fix it. It takes you 4 plays to fix his helmet. How is it taking that long? The announcers were talking about how long it was taking them to fix it. This guy's over here with the screwdriver by hand trying to screw the helmet back together.
Yeah, and the announcers like, how do they not have any power tools over there? How are they not prepared?
It's just so. It was also, again, indicative of the lack of preparedness in this game, but it was a comedy to watch the guy, like, Walker's trying to get back out there, and the guy's still working on the helmet for like a full 5 minutes of like real time.
Yeah. It was like a pit stop, and instead of having the power, like they got the old wrench out there and the lug nuts trying to change the tires. Yeah, in the race.
And so, yeah, the offensive line is just, I mean, with how much we've invested in this offensive line, and like, I don't understand how it's been this bad, you know?
Yeah, it does. It's everybody's underperforming right now, so we can just hope it gets better. And it's kind of
it has to.
The players are playing worse than expected, worse than they have in the past. So I'm hoping for improvement. I'm hoping there's better things to come as people settle down. I actually wish they had put Belton in at right tackle.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I get that Morgan is higher on the depth chart, but Belton has more experience at right tackle, and he just played there last week.
Yeah, and you said Morgan's really only a tackle. I mean, maybe Morgan's only a left tackle. We talked about this. He's looked good at left tackle and hardly played at right tackle.
I think with Morgan, I don't know if he's a right tackle because they've really never given him any reps there. Like, very, very few reps, even in practice, that at least that we've heard about. It could be like every practice that the reporters aren't at, he's playing right tackle. That's, I guess, on the table. I would be skeptical, but that's possible. I just think that Morgan has to be better. It's on him as well. But they are not setting him up for success with how they're using him. He is playing 4 positions, and he only played 1 position in college. And really, every time I watch him at guard, I'm like, he's not a guard. He's not ready for how quick the guys get on him when they're like lined up that close to him, like on the inside. He's not ready for the power. Like, it's just not. I don't think that's what he is at the NFL level, and they just keep doing it.
Yeah, his skill set seems much better suited for being out on the edge than trying to maul.
Because he wasn't that good at guard last week either against Washington. Like, he struggled there too.
Nor was he last year.
He was closer to average at guard last year, but that's the best he's been at guard is average. And you just want more. Anything else on the offensive line that you wanted to touch on, though? Because, I mean, I do think it's the most concerning thing from this game because through 3 games, it's been really bad. Like, really bad.
If this doesn't get better, it is a bad sign for the hopes for this year. Because we have high hopes for the year otherwise. But a bad offensive line will
just tank the season.
Any team.
Yep. But yeah, that's really all there is to say. But Dad, what was your? I haven't given you a chance yet to talk about your takeaways. What was your takeaway? Your first one?
A number of. So this is not necessarily just this game related, but can we stop talking all the time about how Green Bay deserves a pass because they're super conservative with injuries more than any other teams? Like, can we just take that, throw it in the trash, and burn it to a cinder? Because
it certainly did not look like
it hasn't been real for years. It seems now.
It didn't look like it in this game.
And the clearest way to see if teams are giving injured players enough time is how frequently they get re-injured afterwards. And there does not seem to be any reason to think that Green Bay is exceptional in this regard over the last few years. Tom comes in, has to leave after 1 play. Clearly should never have been playing. Banks get re-injured. Okay, maybe it's different. Maybe it's because of the injury. Watson with his ACL tear last year, after coming back from a previous injury, so he got re-injured, more serious. Give a pass on the Dobbs concussions last year because they're monitored independently. The team doesn't actually have a say in that. Love clearly wasn't ready when he came back last year. He was not ready, and they could not perform to play. And then he ended up getting groin injury, probably because he was favoring that knee. And then he goes back to other times too, like Rodgers' thumb injury his final year in Green Bay. He wasn't ready. That happened the whole year. So this whole idea, I mean, I'm not saying they're worse than other teams, but they don't look like they're exceptionally good at preventing re-injuries by being super careful with players. I will say though,
I understand that at the quarterback position, it's a little bit different, and those guys are going to try and play through things that maybe other players wouldn't. But I think Tom, I mean, there's no reason why Tom should have played in this game. He clearly one play, and he was in writhing in agony on the ground after one play.
Obviously, not even close to ready to play.
And he literally said on Wednesday, yeah, I can't run. You're telling me on Wednesday he said he can't run, and then on Sunday he plays one play and has to come out of the game, and we're supposed to believe he ever had a chance of making it through that game? Honestly, we got lucky. We got lucky he didn't get more hurt.
I saw it's like, oh, he's collapsed because it's got much worse. So the report today is, I guess, not much worse. It's not a re-aggravation. It's just like, this is just how much he was hurting already. Just couldn't take the amount of pain he was already in. It didn't make it worse. It was just so bad, he fell over on the first play. So I'm hoping he didn't actually, make anything worse than it was. But the whole, I'm going to do this analysis, but I got to do like every single team league-wide. How often does a player who's injured come back and then get re-injured? That's really what the test is. But I feel like this is a talking point that's been repeated for many years without
about how
any
conservative the Packers are.
Test it really is, whether it's true or not. Are they any different from any other team?
I mean, I think the Tom thing was clearly not handled correctly. Like that he should not have played.
So that's a rant. The more general, I suppose that could have been an off-season rant because I'd already been thinking about it then. But anyway, getting back to this game, is love under pressure. Mm-hmm. No, we do not love being under pressure.
No, we don't.
Is mostly, I think this is more of a short-term issue, bad game, not a long-term problem. Mm-hmm. But I did talk a little bit about Love's drop in passer rating after week 1. So I went to look a little more detail. This week, his drop in NFL passer rating compared to under pressure versus kept clean, the drop was 53.1 points in passer rating, which is actually his best on the season so far, the lowest drop, but mostly because his passer rating when kept clean those first 2 games was 147.5 and 155.6 for weeks 1 and 2. So it was like incredibly good. For the season, his passer rating drop when pressured is 88.1. Mm-hmm. That's tied for the biggest drop in the league with Aaron Rodgers. They're both at 88.1 points worse in QB passer rating.
But like you were saying before, I think part of that is how good he has been when he has been clean. But yeah, sorry, continue.
Right. So it's like those first games, he had like a 90-point, 100-point drop. I mean, so it went down to 50 under pressure. But also, there weren't that many pressures for some of those. So I'll go, here's a few more details. The biggest difference, I think, in this week versus the previous two is his pressure to sack ratio was up to 35.7% compared to 0% in week 1 and 12.5%.
And usually, like through 2 years as a starter, that's been one of the things he's been elite at. He is usually in the top 5, or bottom 5 in pressure to sack rate allowed. Like he is not letting pressures turn into sacks. Like that is something he has been elite at. So I'm not really worried about that. But in this game, I mean, we ate a lot of sacks, but I don't think all of that was on him.
Right. And so that 12.5% pressure sack ratio is highest in the week so far with the Monday night game still to go. But if you think about the overall picture for Love as a starter, so we've got the story for this game is it was bad. But
that's not the story for this game in my opinion.
Well, no, I mean for Love, not the
under pressure
the biggest story, the pressure story, not the biggest story, but his performance under pressure. Because actually that turnover worthy play that was not under pressure.
Yeah,
but on the long term, he's been 5th best at avoiding sacks in weeks 1 and 2, and he was 3rd best at it last year at avoiding letting a pressure turn into a sack. So I'm chalking this up to kind of small sample size, just a bad game, not a long-term worry. And also his passer rating drop when pressured is actually last year, it was only 31.8 points drop, not 88. And that was like, there were 20 qualifying quarterbacks who were worse than that last year. So I don't think that's a, inherent problem in Love's game.
I mean, I'm a little less interested in the drop in passer rating from pressure to not pressure and more interested in just how it ranks, but I see what you're saying. But I was going to say, though, like, with all of that being said, I still think Love played a good game. And outside of the pick was really bad. I'm not here to tell you it wasn't. It lost them the game, and you can't have that. But outside of that, he didn't have back-to-back incompletions until the 4th quarter. And even after throwing that terrible interception, like we mentioned, he still got back out there, bounced back, and led what should have been the game-winning drive. I do want to ask you this, though. Jordan Love, we know, likes to throw it downfield. Do you know what his average depth of target in this game was?
It was incredibly low. And I don't know if I have the number for the whole game, because I think maybe what I saw was under pressure. Under pressure's depth of target was negative. It was like negative 0.1 or something like that.
His average depth of target in this game was 1.6, but which was last in the league. Do you know what his average depth of target when not pressured was, though?
I don't.
2.3, which was second worst in the league. Which, in my opinion, is like, what are we calling? What are the play calls? It felt like an unimaginative game from like the play calling aspect for a lot of this game. Because and also, it's kind of hard to, call long developing plays when your offensive line is just letting people run through it like Swiss cheese. But an average depth of target of 2 yards on non-pressure dropbacks is insane. That's not how you play. Like, we can't play that way.
I think part of it, maybe the game plan was, we know we can't hold on to the ball long in the pocket.
Not.
We just got to get rid of it and try to, get some yak after the throw, which I don't know. How you're doing that, but
not well. But here's the thing: if we're I mean, it's just the front. Like the offensive line has to be so much better. And Love, obviously, like outside of the pick, he was still like top 12 in EPA per drop back. The pick was really bad, but I thought outside of that, I just wanted to say I thought he played well. In terms of other things that went well in this game, I do have one positive, and that's that the pass defense was really, really good again for most of the game, and a few penalties there at the end. But overall, a 42% pressure rate per NFL Pro, which was 7th highest on the week. Only 3.3 yards per pass allowed, which was best on the week. Gary, LVN, and Micah all looked really good out there. And we'll talk about that when we get to players of the game. But the pass rush and the pass defense was still really good in this game, and they played well enough to win.
Yeah, I mean they were getting sacks. They were breaking this up. I think they maybe ran. I don't know if they ran out of gas at the end, or they set fewer bodies. But the one thing that I noticed, the 4th quarter run defense really fell off.
Yeah.
So they were looking good for most of the first like 2 quarters, but they gave it the second highest fourth quarter EPA per rush in the league this week, and the worst fourth quarter rush yards over expected.
Yeah.
Third highest yak per attempt, and the fourth highest yards before contact before attempt. So they were up in the top 4 in both before contact and after.
And a few explosive runs given up that really like changed the game in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Like
they let Judkins get going there, and we had brought it up as a possible changing the flavor of the Browns rushing attack, which is bad coming in. Now, so before this, in this game is the 4th best EPA per rush in the third, 7th best in the second, and 10th best in the first. So they were good in the first 3 quarters of the game, and even after this, they're still 6th best in EPA per rush on the season, and 5th best in rush yards over expected going into Monday night.
Just kind of lost it in that
they
fourth
just
quarter.
lost in that last. Those like 2 possessions.
Yeah, and that was enough to lose the game. And I mean, they invented a way to lose this football game. Like
they tried multiple ways. It's like,
that's the thing is
this wasn't enough. Let's do another.
They tried and failed to lose, like that Josh Jacobs fumble. They tried to lose it. They tried to lose that game right there, and the Browns said, we're going to let you recover that." And then we were like,
tries. It took like 5 tries to lose this game.
And we found a way. And the thing is, like, even if they had missed the kick at the end, we were going to give them another one, just in case. Just in case they didn't win it, we were going to give them another shot at it, which is just so mind-boggling from the special teams again. But Dad, I think that does it for our big takeaways. Player of the game, who'd you have?
So I decided, since you already had maybe the best choice, I went with Matthew Golden, who led the team in receiving yards with 52 and caught all 4 of his targets, and led all of the wide receivers in yards per route run with it was like 2.0.
Yeah, he had a good game. Mine was Rashawn Gary. He was really good in this game. He had 2 sacks with 4 pressures and 3 stops. That's per PFF. And through 3 weeks, he leads the league in sacks through 3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, number 1 in the league at 4.5.
So he passed, because it was
Garrett's at 4.
This game, right?
Yeah, Garrett's at 4. He's at 4.5. And so, I mean, he played great in this game. The pass defense did enough to win. Like, they did enough to win. But who was your under-the-radar player of the game?
So I went for Quay Walker. He had 10 tackles, 4 assists, only 1 missed tackle, with 5 stops. And his coverage in he had less than 1.5 yards per coverage snap. As a linebacker, that's not bad.
Yeah, there were a couple times he kind of got lost in his zone, I felt like. But yeah, he had a good game for the most part. Mine was Lucas Van Ness. Quietly had 6 pressures in just 19 pass rush snaps, which is like a pretty absurd win rate. He was working. There was one play though where we played him at like nose tackle, and I was like, okay, I think he got immediately blown off the ball. I was like, maybe we're flying a little close to the sun here. But he had a really good game, and so he was my under the radar player of the game. Final thoughts. So I think this could go 2 ways. This could be one of those losses that snowballs, and the team starts to like really not. I mean, it could be one of those emotional losses that snowballs and like leads to more losses, or it could be the slap in the face, a wake up call that they need. And this was a quote from Matt LaFleur. Quote, "The goal, and I've said it a million times to you guys, obviously not enough to our team. The goal is to go 1-0 every week. It pisses me off when we start talking about things outside of the next game, things that are way down the road." Matt LaFleur said that in his presser. And I missed this, but Rasheed Walker in the locker room last week was talking about how we could go undefeated.
Oh, you missed that.
And
yeah.
So I think that was very clearly Matt LaFleur being like, we need to not do that. That's not good.
I think Walker may have said it to I can't remember if it was to Domowski or somebody, or maybe somebody brought it up. It's like, "I'm not talking to you guys anymore," or something like that.
I mean, and that's the thing. This could be something that really emotionally like wrecks the team and they can't get back on the horse, or it could be the punch in the mouth of like, hey, if you don't focus for a full, until the final whistle of every game, you can lose any game. You can lose to anyone in this league if you lose focus.
And if you lose focus during the prep and get ready, this is on the coaches too. But I'm thinking this is going to be a slap in the face to wake up. They were feeling themselves a little bit, apparently, And now they showed, like, if you guys don't show up right, and
you can lose to
pay
anyone.
attention, you can lose to anyone.
Yep. And you can lose a game you think you have in the bag if you're not focused for the full extent of the game. But we'll see. And we won't know until next week against the Cowboys. But we will be back later this week to prep for that game, to prepare you for that game, to give you all of the details you need to know about what the players to look for, what the matchups to look for are. We're going to be doing 2 episodes every single week for the entire season. So check that out here. Once again, check us out on Blue Sky at Father Son Packer for updates on Packers news and when we put new episodes out. Subscribe on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Let's put this game in the rear view. Hopefully we won't have to talk about it again. But until next time, go Pack Go.
Go Pack Go.